Good evening. The A-Team is excited to share our presentation with our classmates on the Flotsam Network case study. The main purpose of the Flotsam Network case study and the A-Team's goal was to capture and analyze network scans and intrusion attempts from the Flotsam Kippo honeypot. The A-Team's log files collected and provided intelligence from August 23rd through November 20th, 2015. A custom A-Team user menu was built to process data and organize it in a fashion that provided us and our client with quick stats on the intelligence gathered from the honeypot. If we select option 1, you get the top 10 TCP ports visited. If we select option 2, you get the top 10 UDP ports visited. If we select option 3, you get the top 10 TCP visitors' IP addresses. If we select option 4, you get the top 10 UDP visitor IP addresses. If we select option 5, you get the top 10 TCP visitors and ports of interest. If we select option 6, you get the top 10 UDP visitors and ports of interest. If we select option 7, you get the top 10 SSH visitor IP addresses. If we select option 8, you get the top 10 SSH usernames and passwords. If we select option 9, you get to view network statistics. Log files captured intelligence from August 23rd through November 20th. We had a total packet count of 265,441. The UDP packet count was 5,259. ICMP packet count was 4,193. And TCP packet count was 255,989. Here we saw a couple of large spikes in the beginning of September. As you can see in the graph, on September 12th, there was a total of 24,429 hits. This was the highest record of hits in a single day. Then it dropped down to 2,141 hits on September 13th. Since then, it has stayed pretty consistent, ranging from 955 to 4,564 hits. The average number of hits was 1,739 per day. This chart shows total amount of hits made by the top 10 countries to make some type of connection attempt with the Kippo honeypot. The highest being out of the Netherlands and Poland, then the United States, China, and Russia, making the top 5. This graph shows the total number of unique IP addresses used to scan the Flotsam network from the top 10 countries with the largest amounts. It is important to consider that using IP lookup tools to find information on unique IP addresses is not 100% accurate because of many different factors, including where the owner of the IP is registered, where the agency that controls the IP is physically located, proxies, cellular IPs, etc. If someone is in the US and the controlling agency of the IP is located in Canada, then an IP address lookup will show the location of the host as Canada. Here is some information on port 80 showing attackers targeting specific directories. Port 80 is the standard port for websites, and it can have a lot of different security issues that come along with it. Vulnerabilities can be exploited, allowing an attacker to gain either administrative access to a website or even the web server itself. By connecting to the service, an intruder can use the information to determine what specific software is running and check to see if there are any known vulnerabilities with the software that can be exploited. The directories you see here show that an attacker was attempting to gain access mostly through test proxies and HTML management. We had 767 individual attackers. The total attacks were 1,050, and the total number of HTTP directories that were attempted to be attacked or accessed was 196. These tables show the top 10 attackers by IP address, the top 20 directories attempted by the intruder, and the top 20 passwords attempted. Port 22 is a standard port for SSH, Secure Shell, and it can have a lot of different security issues. There are many Trojan horses associated with this port, and the primary method of gaining access through this port is by a brute force attack. A brute force attack essentially consists of systematically checking all possible keys or passwords until the correct one is found. If the intruder is able to uncover the password, then they can gain access to the device and typically would try to use the same attack method to gain access as root. From our data log, we were able to see what directory the attacker was trying to access and the password that it attempted. These attempts are likely done through a software that the attacker has that will attempt to find the password and a matching directory name. So for port 22, the total attackers was 30,176. Total attacks was 43,849, and the total number of directories attempted to gain access was 3,769. Total passwords attempted was 10,218. This next record shows the top 10 visitor IP addresses and TCP ports of interest. Notice that out of the top 10 unique IP addresses, there are 5 that are from the same network range. This range is owned by Uctel, a company that hosts dedicated servers to their clients for use. There's a great number of reported abuse as well from them, which is excessive spam, distributed denial of service attacks, and denial of service attacks, as well as an affiliation with the notorious Russian business network. What is interesting is that from all of the unique IP addresses that hit our network, 307 of them were from this network range. Although the company is based out of the Netherlands, there are hits reported from 24 different countries, including Ukraine, Russia, Poland, Portugal, Italy, and Kazakhstan. The third highest unique IP address, for example, was 150.216.151.54, which is the Flotsam network IP address. On this list, we also see hits from another Netherlands IP address from a company named LeaseWeb, an IP address from the telecommunications named UNE from Colombia. This next record shows the top 10 visitors' IP addresses and UDP ports of interest. The total number of hits by the top 100 unique IP addresses was 2,457. The total number of ports hit by top 100 unique IP addresses was 107. Unlike the top TCP hits, UDP has quite a few more hitters with unique IP addresses in the top 10. What first stands out in this chart is the hits from the IP address 185.94.111.1 from the Russian Federation. This IP attempted to hit 4 different UDP ports in the top 10 attempts. This chart shows the total connection attempts on the top 5 TCP ports and the amount of unique IP addresses associated with them. TCP port 5900 is associated with remote, frame, buffer protocol, and virtual network computing, VMC, remote desktop protocol. Security issues: RFB is not a secure protocol. Associated malware and vulnerabilities are W32 Gangbot, a backdoor worm that connects to an IRC server and spreads by searching for vulnerable SQL servers. This chart shows the total connection attempts on the top 5 UDP ports and the amount of unique IP addresses associated with them. UDP port 5060, the Session Initiation Protocol, SIP, is a communications protocol for signaling and controlling multimedia communication sessions. Associated threats and vulnerabilities are Bug ID, SIP Vicious, which allows brute force attacks on UDP port 34363, unassigned ports, Flotsam Gateway. There is no information on this port or reported associations with malware. This port was hit 601 times by 26 different country locations. UDP port 53, most prominently used for translating domain names, which can be easily memorized by humans, to the numerical IP addresses needed for the purpose of computer services. DNS attacks, ADM, Lion, MScan, common threats, TCP SYN floods, DNS tunneling, and many more. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us anytime. On behalf of myself, Gideon Hewitt, and William Horn, have a good night.
If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team.